Ruben Mascarenhas. He is an illustrious activist who spearheads many a movement, whether it is Save RA or Khana Chahiye during COVID or Kinin and Rubin murders. And he's been an active participant in India Against Corruption, and he has joined Aam Aadmi Party since inception. So, Ruben, this is Mumbai, and Aam Aadmi Party is a Delhi-based party. In Delhi, people have an interest in politics, and in Mumbai, people are more concerned with business, Bollywood, economics. So, how does politics impact economics?
So before I answer your question, I'd like to correct you there. Aam Aadmi Party is the youngest to be national party. And irrespective of whatever the Gujarat election result would be, we would become the youngest national party. So it's wrong to say we are a Delhi-based party. We are a party which is pan-national, which was merely formed in Delhi and just happens to have the Delhi Chief Minister as our leader. That's all. So we are a pan-national party with national aspirations, and you will see us growing state by state. You use the term economics, so we are essentially a political startup, which is unprecedented because our growth has been enormous. We are the fastest growing political party in India. Never before have you heard of a political party start its work in the state of its origin and then expand to different regions. And right now, as we speak, we have MLAs in Delhi, we have MLAs in Gujarat, in Punjab. We have MLAs in Goa, and now we'll have MLAs in Gujarat very quickly. So yeah, we are a fastest growing political party in that sense of the term. But let me come to the second question. I think you've asked a very brilliant question. Also, this dichotomy that somehow Delhi is a political city and Mumbai is not a political city. Mumbai is much more of a commercial city. No. I think any city is both political as well as commercial. That's true for Delhi. That's true for Mumbai. Mumbai's voting percentage in the previous election was higher than Delhi's voting percentage, FYI. So, that dichotomy is not fair. But coming to politics, see, politics is important simply because it impacts the government, and government is essentially the organization of all organizations. So it's the largest possible organization. That's point number one. Point number two, when it comes to politics, what actually matters to citizens is the link between the taxes that the citizen pays and the facilities that the government gives us. It's as simple as that, right? So it's not, governance and politics is not rocket science. And third, if you actually see what is a government, right? I mean, in the words of Gladstone, the role of government is the role of the government is to make it easy for people to do good and difficult for people to do bad. That's all. So right now, how politics impacts the economy in multiple ways. One is it has to create an enabling environment so that wealth is created, so that people are essentially able to have jobs. And all of this can only happen when the government creates an enabling environment. I mean, it's not the government's role to be in business. I mean, clearly the government needs to create this enabling environment. But as we are seeing at multiple levels, I mean, corruption in many ways robs state capacity of basically being effective. So when it comes to poor public service delivery, like let's say roads with potholes, that corruption is directly impacting to delays, which directly has an economic cost. I mean, this is just one particular example. And if you just go in terms of the way capital is accessible, in terms of stability resulting into better policy, resulting into much more jobs, or for that matter, what we hear all the time. Right now, we are seeing jobless growth. So there is growth, and sadly, it's only percolating into the pockets of a few large businessmen. But we need growth which creates jobs. And if you want 20 million jobs, you need to create those 1 million entrepreneurs to create those 20 million jobs. It's as simple as that. And that will only happen when you give the right kind of education. So it's all linked. I mean, it's not, nothing can be looked at it in isolation. Why is it that right now in most of Indian schools and colleges, you don't have students who have the right skills when it comes to employability, right? Why is it that they have to, despite having a degree in engineering, still learn some skills in some other random place? So I think this is, politics and governance in India is literally a huge systemic failure, and what we can see in terms of all of these are merely symptoms of that larger disease of systemic failure. So to answer your question, politics is extremely important for the local economy, because only and only when if there is a political constituency which votes for the right party in order to do the right thing, only then will you have something delivered to you. So without clean politics, you will not have effective public service delivery, and without clean politics, you will not be able to create that enabling environment which will pull people out of poverty. I mean, we are right now in a very interesting time. You know, the best thing about India is no matter when you say the statement, it will always be true. We are living in a very momentous occasion. But from an economic perspective, just think about it. All of us people who are young, right now we speak about that as our demographic dividend. After 20 years, we won't be young. Or after 25 years, we won't be young. So in these 25 years, if we don't create value and wealth to pull millions out of poverty, it will basically be a lost opportunity. We'll again turn into a China. And then without social security, without the right skill sets, we're just heading to disaster. So I think we have this once in a lifetime opportunity which the US had in the 1800s, which Europe had in post World War, and I think somewhere down the line we need to also take that opportunity and pull people out of poverty.
So the next question, since we are talking about politics, Bollywood, business, see, when we have excessive nepotism in Bollywood, films tank. If you have excessive nepotism in business, investment is lost. What happens if there is excessive nepotism in politics?
No, I mean, of course, we can see it's not a futuristic question. We can already see the results right now. When we talk of ourselves as a democracy, we are a democracy in the sense that we have competitive elections, we have institutions of political parties. But what is missing between our democracy and the democracies of Western countries is that there is no upward mobility for good talent. When it comes to existing political parties across the spectrum, with the exception of an Aam Aadmi Party. I mean, in an Aam Aadmi Party, there is a 35-year-old Raghav Chadha who is an MP from Punjab in the Rajya Sabha. In the Aam Aadmi Party, there is a 35-year-old Ruben Mascarenhas who is the working president in Mumbai. So, with the exception of the Aam Aadmi Party, all existing parties have these royal families. They all look at the political party as a fiefdom. So there is a national royal family, there is a royal family at the state, there's a royal family at the assembly level, there's a royal family at the ward level. So it's just these few thousand families which are essentially controlling whatever happens at whatever level. So when we are looking at these parties, there is no party structure. There may be this brand, there may be this label, there may be this projection of leadership, but there is no leadership. So I think the results are there for everyone to see. Politics is basically become such a complicated place where there's a huge entry barrier. I mean, you need to have loads of ill-gotten wealth. You need to be the son or daughter, or essentially be part of some large political family with some political godfather. And third is you need to essentially engage in all kinds of ridiculous vote bank politics. So the answer to your question is we already have seen a disaster. I mean, look at the demise of the Congress party. I mean, a party which was ruling India for a vast majority of our existence for the last 70 odd years, and right now it's never really been able to recover in any state historically where it's gone below 20%. Or for that matter, look at the BJP. The BJP touted itself as a party with a difference, but whether it is PK Dhumal in Himachal Pradesh, or it is Vasundhara's son in Rajasthan, or whether it is Yediyurappa's son in Karnataka, or even Tejaswi Surya for that matter, these are all dynasts of some dynasty or the other. So I think whether it is any existing political party, what is needed is this attempt at allowing political talent to rise to the top. And I think the Aam Aadmi Party walks the talk. It gives young people like me an opportunity to go out there, to accept the mantle of leadership and lead with responsibility. I think that is missing with all other political parties. And I mean, to just extend this argument, how should a young person go about it should he want to join a political party? I mean, how if it's not for the Aam Aadmi Party, I mean, you can just walk in here and say, hey, I wish to be a part of the Aam Aadmi Party, and there's enough and more work. As we say, a political party is a government in waiting. A political party is tomorrow's government. And when it comes to any other political party, you just have so many good people who are just relegated to the background, that no matter what they do, of course, the political party has multiple roles, multiple responsibilities, from policy, from advocacy, from execution, from campaigning, from technology. I mean, the list is endless, right? It's just like any other organization. But the biggest problem is that unless and until you don't have that political mobility, you don't have young people wanting to join politics. And all of that has changed with the Aam Aadmi Party. With the Aam Aadmi Party, and Arvind Kejriwal says, no, all young people should join. This is a party where if all bad people can come together to win elections, no matter what their differences are, then all good people can come together. And he has promised mobility to young people, that you can rise to the top with your talent, with your hard work. And that is what is needed, not just in the Aam Aadmi Party, but across the political spectrum.
Politics is, when we look at careers and jobs and activism, there are many people look at so many other areas for jobs, but politics is a place where people do not see themselves as having a career. Somewhat that has changed, because there are political consultancies who design campaigns, who provide campaign services. But overall, it remains a low-paying sector, so to say. Is that true? Do you think that there is money to be made in politics? Can somebody who's just passed out of college, think about making a career and having a job in politics?
You hit the nail on the head. And I will take a little longer to answer this, because it's a very deep question at multiple levels. So what you're essentially asking, and if I can paraphrase, is that if a young person wants to get into politics, can he make money? And if I can qualify that, can he make legitimate money? So there are two things. Now, I'm an engineer by qualification. I have a degree in astronomy and astrophysics, and I have a degree in Hindi literature, and this is my fourth degree that I'm pursuing in terms of my LLB. I come from a startup background. I have had almost 9 years of experience in corporate life. My last startup was a Bill Gates funded entity to solve for domestic workers. It was essentially a fintech. So given my background, how do I go about things into politics? So let's first take a step back. What happens already? So to answer your question, people are already making money in politics. That is a problem. That in the absence of any logical remuneration or any institutionalized logical remuneration, let's say a person of my caliber, how does he go about earning his money? And somebody like me, of course, I happen to be part of a non-profit where I happen to be a director, and I do earn legitimate remuneration for the work that I render there. But when it comes to a broad section of people, I mean, look at it this way, right? The BMC, the corporators don't even have a salary. It's called honorarium of some approximately 25,000 odd rupees, right? How do you expect a person to live in 25,000 rupees and take care of himself, or for that matter, and maybe they get a railway pass or a bus ticket, or it doesn't work that way. So I think first people need to understand that politics is a vocation where I don't think that I need a corporate salary, but I think people at least need that much of remuneration, which is enough for them to satisfy their own needs. And I don't use the term wants, I use the term needs. And not basically want to indulge in corruption. Right now, how do politicians make money? You basically have them rent seeking. You have them go to some government agency office, help around with some file here and there, indulge in some sort of a brokerage, and then basically take a cut of it, right? And that is what has happened systematically. That you have a politician who basically then encroaches upon the footpath, and then he'll put up a few shops, and before you know it, there is money laundering of another level. And you've seen this. This is essentially the story of every MLA. This is the story of every corporator of existing political parties in India. Party after party, corporator after corporator, MLA after MLA, MP after MP. Right? That is what happens. So to answer your question, unless and until I think from a culture perspective, it's also, when I go out to raise money for the Aam Aadmi Party, I call the person and I, essentially ask them to make a donation. And each time I ask them to make a donation, they just ask me, hey, but y'all are in power in Delhi and Punjab, तो अभी क्या donation की ज़रूरत है? But I said that, नहीं, पर हमको donation की ज़रूरत है because that is how we function. Like, he was like, really at his, he was confused, okay, why am I even asking him this question? So I think from a cultural perspective, I think in India, we don't have this culture of giving for a political party. We are happy to give to a charity. But what we fail to understand is if we don't give this, if we don't give money to a political party through legitimate means, one is for political party to function as it is. And second is that even people who are elected at various levels, so and MLAs need to have remuneration. They don't need to have 2 or 3 or 4 time remuneration as Punjab in its previous governments would basically give its people. But you need to run an office. You need to have an assistant. You need to ask better questions in the house. You need to coordinate with your constituents. You're going to coordinate with your other citizens. All of this is essentially going to happen. So I think we need to get out of our ideas, or rather old-fashioned ideas of the MLAs or for that matter politicians just being able to make money by themselves. And second is you need to create remunerative positions. Right now, I'll stick my neck out. Right now, what does the ruling party of India do? The ruling party of India basically gets people on the payrolls of some private entity, and they basically pay for their money. But this is this new formula. This didn't exist during Congress regime. This is something that we are seeing right now. So unless and until this is not fixed, you're not going to see new talent in the country. I mean, imagine, politics is a lot of work. I mean, whoever thinks कि अरे इसको नेता बनने का शौक है. I am a leader. If I call myself a politician, I am not an accidental politician. I am a politician by choice. I think politics is for the brightest and best. Whoever said politics is for the last resort of the scoundrel has done the greatest disservice to humanity. This is a great opportunity to change people's lives. Your one policy decision, if it is implemented properly in the right way, can actually literally eradicate what I call avoidable suffering, right? I mean, all of this, whether it is poverty, whether it's unemployment, whether it's corruption, all of this can be solved. And I think it's the most exciting thing. And in politics, there is nothing more competitive as a profession than politics. You need communications, you need language, you need fashion, you need history, you need sociology, you need psychology, you need management, you need finance, you need everything. I mean, what aspect of human knowledge you don't really require? So I think we need to look at politics just as another profession. And either, so right now the way people are able to subsist is by creating some sort of a remuneration for them, or for that matter, something which gives them flexibility, because political work is very unforgiving. Huh? When you're there, people, just now in front of you, I got almost 5 calls from my ward. कि यहाँ पे ये हुआ, यहाँ पे हुआ. You're expected to go there. You're expected to go and meet those people. You're expected to solve that problem. So while people are able to juggle around, and also I can juggle around because I come from a privileged background. I mean, imagine for the people who don't come from a privileged background. I had an educated father and mother who worked very hard for us to move from a chawl into a building, and that's where we are. And I don't know how many other people have the same kind of privilege. So I think, to answer your question, unless and until we don't sort of institutionalize what happens, and second is when we don't, if we are not able to normalize that, okay, this is a career path, people will not take that career path. Or if people take the career path, you will end up, maybe they may be a little more efficient, they may be English speaking corrupt politicians, but they'll be corrupt politicians, and that won't change.
So one aspect that we can, one thing that you've been is an activist before being a politician, before joining a political organization. How does joining a party impact you? I mean, does it increase the scale of your activism? Does it? I mean, of course, there is there is in any organization, one has to find a middle path. Your path and the organization's path have to somewhat intersect sometime. But let's say, why should a person who's an activist, individual activist, join any political party?
See, activism is very, very nice because all effort begins with activism. But sadly, activism is not the end goal of it, because A, it's seriously limited in scale. B, it is impossible to actually use the activism model to solve extremely complex problems. You may have some good outcomes in a particular geography or locality, but when it comes to something which is city-wide, it has its limitations. So I think activism, the problem with activism is that activists tend to get a little too self-righteous. And because of that, they're like cowboys, so to say. So they do not want to work in teams. But I think in a political party, it's so much more different, and it's so much about discipline. But before I continue, something that was told to me by my mentor, Ashwin Mahesh, he told me that the most unsuccessful politician will be more successful than the most successful social entrepreneur. Think about it. It's something which, or rather, I can change that social entrepreneur to an activist. And I'll repeat it, that the most unsuccessful politician will be more successful than the most successful activist. And if we define success as basically in something which influences outcomes, that's what essentially power is, right? Let me finish. So I think I think broadly, when you join a political party, as I said and I repeat, is a government in waiting. It's tomorrow's government, right? So you anyways have that ability to mobilize public opinion. You also have safety because you're an organization. If Ruben Mascarenhas tomorrow goes and takes up an issue of some corruption, or for that matter, some injustice being meted out to a bunch of people, Ruben Mascarenhas can be eliminated. And we can see that happen all around. But if Ruben Mascarenhas is part of an organization, people will not be so forthcoming when it comes to attacking them, when it comes to essentially targeting people. So it gives you that safe canopy that, hey, you're a member of a political party, you're a member of an organization, and it's not easy for people to essentially just merely target you. And third, and most importantly, it allows you to grow. It allows you to function in an organized way. And all said and done, we are the Aam Aadmi Party. I'm not saying we are perfect when it comes to an organization. We're still trying to put this organization brick by brick. We are approximately 1.5 lakh members in Mumbai, and we are growing. So it allows you that macro perspective of what governance is about, what politics is about, and how decision making can be influenced. And I think that is why you need to you join a political party, because you'll be and I say this, it's not just the Aam Aadmi Party, it can be any political party. But why the Aam Aadmi Party? Because it allows you to grow. Other political parties, I've seen my colleagues, they're in the same place for the last 10 years. What's happening to them? So
one word that comes to your mind when we say Arvind Kejriwal.
Hope. Because just look at the level of politics and the level of corruption and governance that this country is witnessing, right? We are literally living in a fascist state. I mean, look at what is happening to intellectuals. Look at what is happening to anyone speaking against the government. You have systematic elimination of the opposition. You have agencies being used just for the government to basically use the dictum कि कीचड़ उछालो कुछ तो चिपकेगा, and it's nothing beyond the point. In such an environment where you just have systematic hate being manufactured, systematic othering that's basically going on, the only person who's been able to defeat the BJP is Arvind Kejriwal in the Aam Aadmi Party. We have the playbook to defeat the BJP. We are no longer a small party. We have the third largest number of MLAs. Clearly, we are a party which is certainly on the ascendant, and Arvind Kejriwal is that hope that hey, this is possible, that it is possible to win elections without money, muscle, power, and divisive agenda. It is possible to win elections negating the politics of hate and asking people to vote for schools and hospitals. So I think Arvind Kejriwal is that hope which millions of people have when it comes to politics. But the problem with politics and governance is it's very abstract. No? I mean, imagine you go to a poor person and you tell that person that, hey, you are going to, if you vote for me and if enough of votes come to me, then I get elected, and enough of people like me get elected, then we form the government, and then we will basically make policy. And then if that policy gets implemented properly in the right possible way, then your life will change. It looks very convoluted. It requires a revolution of thought. But most people will say that no, it's easier to just feed the person so that the person has a smile on his face, he has a full stomach. That's a much more achievable thing. But that's the whole thing, that while governance may seem abstract, it is essentially very, very tangible when it comes to public service delivery, and that is the hope that Arvind Kejriwal offers.
As you are a very grassroots level activist or a political activist, you must have gone right inside people's houses and engaged with them very deeply. How well have people recovered from the pandemic? Is there dire difficulty still around us, hidden, or are we back to or better than what we were before the pandemic? What is your view of the grassroots level experience?
I think post-pandemic we have still not recovered. I mean, even if you see, we were already reeling from the impact of post-demonetization, and I think people's livelihoods have been impacted. It's not as simple as merely sitting in front of a computer and getting onto a Zoom call, as all of us privileged people think working remotely means. It means a lot of people's wages have been paused. It means a lot of people's wages have been reduced, and there is no correction right now. And when we are looking at the formal economy, that's just 5%. 95% of the market is the informal economy. So I think clearly post-pandemic there is a change in consumer behavior. It's no longer, it has improved. So I'm not saying it's as stark as it used to be, but I still think that the government of the day needs to really provide this social security net vis-a-vis healthcare, education, things which actually make sure that you actually put money back into the pocket of the citizens, because only then you will have them spend money, and only a genuine injection of that money on the ground will actually result into a positive outcome for the economy. So I think we are right now seeing a very difficult time for most people, and I just hope that over a period of time this falls in place, because we are also seeing talks of a recession, a global recession. You can already see what's happening with the crypto economy. I just hope that we don't see another recession, and even if we see a recession, we at least have a social security net, because certain things are non-negotiable. The problem in India is we don't have these non-negotiables, whether when it comes to public life or when it comes to social security. So I hope that whatever government of the day is able to put that social security, give that social security net, so that people are able to do what it takes.
So, any final words that you'd like to talk about? Anything that you would want to say?
Yeah, my guru, Dr. Jayaprakash Narayan, who is the author of the RTI Act, has a very interesting line. He says, "I may not believe in a God, but I certainly believe in a sin, which is totally unacceptable, and that is avoidable suffering and unutilized potential." And if you just look at this lens, avoidable suffering and unutilized potential, all of this, when it comes to corruption, when it comes to poor public service delivery, when it comes to unemployment, when it comes to bad infrastructure, everything is essentially avoidable suffering. Everything is essentially unutilized potential. And if we look at governance and politics as an attempt to solve that, it is really an exciting place to be. And I think I would use this opportunity to get to appeal to more young people that you must come to politics and you must solve the most exciting and the most complicated, the most complex problems of our time. Thank you so much.
So, we had a very long and interesting conversation, and hardly any of it which you would not want to watch or listen to. Thank you.